This is day 20 of Advent of Cyber, and this challenge is called Advent of Frostlings. One of the main reasons the Best Festival company acquired Crafts was their excellent automation for building, wrapping, and crafting. The new automation pipelines make it easier, faster, scalable, and effective process. However, someone has tampered with the source control system, and something weird is happening. It's expected that McGreedy has impersonated some accounts or teamed up with rogue Frostlings. Who knows what will happen if a malicious user gains access to the pipeline. In this task, you'll explore the concept of poisoned pipeline execution in a GitLab's CI/CD environment and learn how to protect against it. You'll be tasked with identifying and mitigating potential PPE attack. The GitLab instance for Craft CI/CD automates everything from sending signals and processing Best Festival company services to building and updating software. However, someone has tampered with the configuration files, and the logs show unusual behavior. Some suspect the Frostlings have bypassed and gained access to our build processes. So for this challenge, we'll be learning about poisoned pipeline execution, understand how to secure CI/CD pipelines, get an introduction to secure software development lifecycles and DevSecOps, and learn about CI/CD best practices. GitLab is a platform that enables collaboration and automation throughout the software development lifecycle, which is the framework structure that describes the stages that code goes through, from design and development to deployment. GitLab is built around Git, a distributed version control system where code is managed. Here are some key components of GitLab. So a version control system is the environment where you manage and track changes in the codebase, makes it easier to collaborate with others and maintain the history and versioning of a project. Pipelines automate the building, testing, and deployment processes. Pipelines ensure the code is consistently integrated, tested, and delivered to the specified environment. And security scanning. So GitLab has a few scanning features, like incorporating static application security testing, dynamic application security testing, container scanning, and dependency scanning. All these tools will help identify and mitigate security threats in code and infrastructure. So CI/CD, we've got continuous integration, which refers to integrating code changes from multiple contributors into a shared repository. In GitLab, CI allows developers and engineers to commit code frequently, triggering automations that lead to builds and tests. This is what CI is all about, ensuring that code changes and updates are continuously validated, which reduces the likelihood of vulnerabilities when introducing security scans and tests as part of the validation process. Continuous deployment automates code deployment to different environments. During the software development lifecycle, code travels to environments like sandbox staging, where the tests and validations are performed before they go into the production environment. The production environment is where the final version of an app or service lives, which is what we as users tend to see. CD pipelines ensure that the code is securely deployed consistently and as part of the DevSecOps, integrating security checks before deployment to production is key. So DevSecOps We've mentioned that integrating security into CI/CD ensures consistency and threat reduction when integrating it into the SDLC. This is what DevSecOps aims to achieve. Everything we have seen so far is part of a cultural and technical approach that aims to improve collaboration, automation, and CI/CD. It's what we call developer operations, or DevOps for short. DevSecOps was born from the DevOps as an extension specializing in security for DevOps practices. So CID attacks, PPE. In today's Advent of Cyber, you'll learn about poisoned pipeline execution. This type of attack involves compromising a component or stage in this SDLC. For this attack to work, it takes advantage of the trust boundaries established within the supply chain, which is extremely common in CI/CD where automation is everywhere. When an attacker has access to version control systems and can manipulate the build process by injecting malicious code into pipelines, they don't need access to the build environment. This is where the poison pipelines come into play. It's crucial to have effective, secure gates and guardrails to prevent malicious code from getting far if there is an account compromise. So the scenario, 'tis the season of giving, but the Frostlings have invaded the entire Crafts GitLab CI/CD pipeline. They found a way to poison the pipeline, orchestrating the Advent calendar build process for this holiday season. Your mission as a DevSecOps engineer is to uncover and mitigate this attack to ensure the calendar doesn't suffer from any malicious alterations. So for this challenge, we need to start the VM, and then we would need the attack box as well. So we can go to the very top, start attack box, and then once this is loaded, we connect to the attack box GitLab with this username and password. So after logging in, if you see a warning that specifies adding an SSH key, you can ignore it, as we will be using the web editor. If you have used Git and GitLab before, and you prefer to interact with the GitLab programmatically, feel free to add your key. So upon login, you should see the AOC DevSecOps Advent Calendar BFC. So when we're eventually in, there'll be projects, and then that should be there. So let's take a look at this project. It is a workflow for the Advent Calendar site by the Festival company built by Crafts. If we check the repository, we see it uses Apache to host an index.html file. The configuration file, gitlab-ci.yml, is a YAML format for GitLab CI/CD. It defines a series of jobs and stages that will be executed automatically when code changes are pushed to the Advent Calendar BFC repository. So let's break down what it does. Okay, so I've got my attack box up. So we'll copy this, put it here, and so it's got a URL, but then it's also talking about SSH. But let's just see if we can I assume we can just manually go to a website here. Now we'll go to here. Okay, that's how it works. So the username is DevSecOps, and the password tryhackme ! And sign in. And there we go. So we've now got our project here, the Advent Calendar BFC, which it says we can go to, and then there's a CI/CD section. We can see some pipelines have ran. So the configuration file GitLab-CI YAML. So go back to files, and then the workflow files right here. Okay, so let's take a look at this, and let's read through what it's doing. So workflow describes a CI/CD workflow for the value assigned to the commit branch, install dependencies stage. If the pipeline is triggered on any branch, it installs dependencies. If there are any, in this case, it echoes a message indicating the installation step. Okay, makes sense. Before script. Checks for an existing Docker container with a specific name, stops and removes it if found. This way, whenever a new job runs, there won't be clashes with previously running containers. And then test. Stage 1 executes in the test stage of the pipeline, runs a Docker container named affectionate Saha based on the HTTPD latest image, binds a volume from the local directory to the container's web server directory, maps port 9080 on the host to port 80 on the container, which you can see all that going on there. Artifacts specify the contents of the public directory, and the rules test stage runs only if the pipeline is triggered on the main branch. Okay, that makes sense. Detective Frosto received reports that the Advent Calendar site has been stuck in a testing phase for weeks now. However, the team is acting strangely, and the site has been acting up. As a DevSecOps engineer, you must help Detective Frosto understand what's happening. We can start by checking if there are any merge requests or attempts. Merge requests appear when someone has a new code or an updated project version and wants to update the code base with the new changes. In other words, they want to merge it. So if we go back to here, merge request says 0. We can see that there was a merge request done 2 weeks ago, and it updated the CI GitLab file. So let's take a look at the commits in this. So it updated it. So they changed the rules from if it equals main to if it does not equal main. What does next do? Is that okay, public images, day 20 deface calendar, Frostlings rule. So that's the photo that will be on there. So if we go back to the merge request, okay, well that wasn't meant to happen. So let's just use the back arrow. So back to the overview. So it was assigned to bad SecOps user. Hey team, I'm just doing some tests here. Won't be running as the rule says to run when the branch is not main. Don't mind me. So test done. Given we are a week late, we should release this so we finish the testing quickly and create a deployment to production for everyone to see. Our calendar, it's urgent after all. Test done. I'll approve. Can you update permissions? That way I can merge it myself and move quickly with shit fast. So it gave that bad SecOps user admin. Okay. What is this commit? Okay, that was that one. Okay, so let's carry on. So we've already gone through all this stuff that happened, and so we've seen the changes that were made. So now it runs not on main, and then that image is there. So now let's take a look at the pipelines that ran, or more specifically the jobs. So a bunch of test ones were running, and this is the most recent one that ran. Let's see what changed. Okay, nothing noteworthy there. Let's go back to here. So check the jobs that have been executed. At first glance, the testing jobs have been running, just like the detective said. However, teams have complained that the production site has been acting up. The testing environment shouldn't be affecting the website in the production environment. In the rules section of the CI file, the branch shouldn't trigger a job if the branch is not main. Branches are ways to track changes and work. They are copies of the repository where developers and engineers work on changes. When they're ready, they merge the branch. In other words, they add their code to the main branch, which is the version of workflows used to build the site. Okay, so navigate to the website. So that was 9081. There we go, and we can see Frostlings rule. So it's been defaced, possibly by Frostlings. The detective was right. Let's check the pipeline logs, navigate to the pipeline section, and you should see a view like that. So going back to the pipeline section, this is the most recent pipeline that ran. So these are all running on main. So we've got all those pipelines. This section shows all the pipelines triggered. Pipelines are group jobs. They run based on the config declarations we looked at before declaring the jobs to be ran. Selecting any of the pipelines and clicking on the pass box should take you to the individual pipeline view. So it should look like that. You can see the dependencies stage, then the test stage. So you click on the test job and be wary of the arrow button to rerun the job. Nothing bad should happen though. So after clicking test, it should take you to the build logs. You should see who triggered the job and what is attempting to run. So investigate the logs. There has been a lot of testing activity. This type of behavior is not expected. At first glance, we can see commands and behaviors unrelated to the Advent calendar built for Best Festival Company. An instant and investigation needs to be open. So if we go to this one, go to pipeline. Okay, that's build stage. That's test. Let's take a look at the test stage. So it seems to be running steps that it shouldn't be, because there was no, well, it's echoing that. Okay, so it's updating the HTML file with new HTML and it is using the defaced calendar image. So that shouldn't be happening. So incident. As discussed in the previous section, new code changes have been implemented. Based on the discussions in the merge requests, some jobs have been approved without review and merged by Frostlino. He seems to have many privileges. Are they exploiting his power? That's up to Frosto to decide. For now, let's focus on mitigation. We can see malicious code has been added as part of the test, and the rules have been changed so the commands in test are the ones that go into production. This looks highly suspicious. Let's break down what's happening. We can see that various commands are being executed, including the following. Who am I? Prints the username of the current user executing the script. pwd prints the current working directory. Lists contents in current directory. Lists contents in the public directory. Using the echo command to output new HTML and adding it to the index.html file. And Docker container deployment. The script uses Docker to deploy a containerized instance of Apache. The container is mapped to port 9081 on the host and is mounted to this container. In conclusion, the test step performs various tasks to deface the calendar. Looks like Frostlino has joined Tracy McGreedy's scheme to damage Best Festival Company's reputation by defacing the Advent calendar. So if we now go to the commits section in repository. Okay, so we can see Frostlino has been doing a bunch of commits. So we looked at the pull request before, but these must have come afterwards where they were able to just direct. So here's the merge from the pull request, then they just manually added stuff. So that one looks like one to look at. Okay, so in this one they changed it from not main to main. Then let's take a look at this. Doesn't seem to be anything there. Ah, here we go. This one is where they're putting all the commands in. Who are my present working directory and all that stuff. So this is where the HTML is getting changed. And this one, they changed from the original calendar to the defaced one. And this one, what have they changed? Changed it to 81 instead of 80. Okay. So now it wants us to edit the file and fix it. So we'll go back to this one, which should be one with the correct file. So we'll go into this one. This is the good file, and then assume this is the bad one. So if we scroll to the bottom here, does not equal main. Well, this one has all that stuff. So edit in pipeline editor. We will copy file contents and we will paste that into here. So edit file contents, click commit and wait for the job to finish. Everything should go back to normal. So we will change this to fixing GitLab file commit change. Cannot be updated. You can only create or edit files when you are on a branch. Okay, I'm not on a branch apparently. So we'll copy this. We'll switch back over to main, and now we'll paste that back in. Fixing file commit changes. So changes have been submitted. So we should see pipelines here. That the pipeline is now running, and it should go and update the file. It says it has passed, so if we go here and refresh it, it should... Okay, no, not that one. It got changed to 9080. It should be now 9081, and it should be now 9080. Or maybe not. Let's just verify that the pipeline worked as expected. So let's go into here. So we removed all that stuff. Should be 9080. Maybe it's still... the container's still loading up or something. So give it a little while. Pipeline... That all worked fine. Let's take a look at the stage. So it only ran the build stage this time, which is good. It shouldn't have done the test one, I think. Yeah, not on main. Okay, that looks fine. So if we go back, still not up. Let's check here. Well, anyway, so everything should be back to normal. So to remediate these attacks, we can do several things. So prevent unauthorized repository changes. So let's go here, go to branches, and we want to update this one. So assume enter the branch. Is there a settings thing we can do here? Maybe we should just take a look here. So settings repository. Okay. So settings repository and then protected branches. So branch main, we want to change it so no one can push. You have to do pull requests. So that's the first change. So artifact management, configure artifact expiration settings to limit the retention of artifacts. If an attempt like this happens, again, the changes and files created will not be saved. Pipeline visualization, use pipeline visualization to monitor and understand pipeline activity, similar to how we carried out the investigation. You can access the pipeline visualization from the pipeline view, add static analysis and linting tools to the pipeline. GitLab has SAST that can be used. Access control, ensure that access control is configured correctly. Limit access to repositories and pipelines. Only admins can do this, but this is something the entire Craft team should do. They need to kick Frostlings out of the project as well. Regular audits. The CI file should be checked for any suspicious or unintended changes. That way we can prevent projects like the Advent calendar project from being tampered with, and only include the necessary stages in the pipeline. Remove any unnecessary stages to reduce the attack surface. If you see a test running unnecessary commands or stages, flag it. Okay, so handle of the developer responsible for the change. That was Frostlings, was it? Frostlings. Okay, no, that's not it. It's... where was it? It was one of these. Let's go to the commit. And who made the commit? It's gonna show. Didn't I write that Frostlings? Okay, that might be the username, but maybe not the handle. Oh, DevSecOps. That's it. DevSecOps. So the deface port was 9081. What server is the malicious server running on? Apache. What message did the Frostlings leave on the deface site? Was it Frostlings rule? What is the commit ID of the original code for the Advent calendar site? So for original, is it talking about the very first one? So commits, and then you go to the very beginning. So copy that number, or that hash. Assume that's what it means? No? What is the commit ID of the original code? Is it meant to be this one, where they did the original pull request? No. Which one are they talking about then? Or is it talking about this one? Which one are they talking about? Commit ID 24682. Commit ID of the original code for the Advent calendar site. Maybe this one? Okay, there we go, got it. Apparently it's this one that it's meant to be. Oh, well, anyway. So that is now day 20 of Advent of Cyber 2023 completed. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you can watch me complete the rest of these challenges.